This is a gut punch to the employees, the federal law enforcement officers at the prison in Pollock.
A federal corrections complex seated within the heart of Grant Parish could soon face new limitations and drawbacks following the passage of an executive order by President Donald Trump. And as KLB's Rob LaPearl reports, a local prison workforce union is calling on Louisiana's congressional leaders to, quote, stand up for them.
As an employee, how does this make you feel?
Oh man, it makes me angry. It makes me angry because I know what the people at Pollock go through every day. FCC Pollock is a dangerous place. Of course, you've seen in the news how dangerous it can be. And these men and women go in every day, get locked. You know, as soon as you walk in, that Sally port closes. It's a different atmosphere.
FCC Pollock. It's a federal prison that's been tackling an uptick in contraband smuggling since 2023 and worker vacancies since 2022. And while the Grant Parish Sheriff's Office is confident in their efforts to stem the flow of drugs and contraband, that still remains in question within the prison itself.
The contraband problem is a very, very dangerous problem we're having. We're having an issue with drone drops. It's become a big problem at FCC Pollock, and we're actually working on legislation with Congress to be able to curtail what's going on.
Tommy Moore, a representative for the correctional officers at FCC Pollock, says high stress is a common feeling for guards in the corrections workforce.
You could tell when there's tension in the atmosphere. You could cut it with a knife. It's that strong.
And contraband in the possession of inmates, in tandem with lightly equipped officers, only stands to increase that stress.
We don't carry sidearms. We're not like your street law enforcement. We don't carry guns. We carry pepper spray, keys, a radio, and a stab vest. That's all we have.
And with the recent passage of an executive order by President Donald Trump in March, stress on both officers and the prison itself could rise. That executive order eliminated collective bargaining for federal unions tied to national security missions, like the Department of Justice's Bureau of Prisons.
It basically just silences the voice of the employee. It's a big benefit for folks wanting to come to the Bureau of Prisons because a lot of places outside of the Bureau around here don't have that. They don't have where you can do stuff like that.
The White House argues that collective bargaining restricts the government's ability to responsibly manage its agencies. But Moore says collective bargaining protects workers by granting certain bonuses like seniority, shift and role bidding, vacation benefits.
And the pepper spray, that was because of collective bargaining.
But without that ability, less workers may be willing to join the prison's workforce, potentially emphasizing the prison's staffing shortages. And a shortage of workers could lead to more intense contraband issues. A report by the OIG on inmate deaths highlights a connection between staffing shortages, among other factors, to diminished efforts by staff in stemming deaths from drug overdose and the acquiring of contraband. An excerpt from the report reads that in one instance of a site visit in relation to the study, staff say they did not believe that contraband searches occurred frequently enough due to staffing shortages. Further within that report, the OIG acknowledges staffing shortages as a, quote, significant challenge, even going so far as to label it as a key challenge affecting the management and performance of the Department of Justice. And Moore says President Trump's executive order on federal unions is the equivalent of them
taking it out on the boots on the ground. It's common sense. There is fraud in the government. We're not saying there's not. But when you start taking it out on the people that work behind the gates, that's where it becomes frustrating.
And while that executive order is already being legally disputed, Moore says there's an easier solution in House Resolution 2550, a congressional bill that would nullify the order and reinstate collective bargaining agreements. And Moore is calling on his congressional leaders to take action.
The top one is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Both FCC Pollock and FCC Oakdale are in his districts. He represents us. We're his constituents. We want him to listen to us. We know that he has the ear of the president. We see him on TV going to UFC fights and going to games with the president on Air Force One. We know he has the ear of the president. We need him to stand up for us.
And to garner more support, the Council of Prison Locals 33 says they have begun preparing billboards to post across Congressional District 4, all pushing a similar message.
This is not the time to be silent. Stand up for us and help us, or the institutions in your district are going to fail miserably.
Reporting in Grant Parish with KALB, I'm Rob LaPearl.
And we reached out to FCC Pollock for comment on this story, but they declined an interview.